Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man, at your space hunting services. You see me now sporting possibly the most obvious, the most overt of tartans. It's the Royal Steward. When anyone gets asked, think of a tartan, think of a kilt, invariably they think of this, or a version of this. Bright red, vivid, bold, courageous. And it also adorns the covers of many tins of biscuits. Highland shortbread biscuits. I'm going to turn that down now. Right, if you saw yesterday's video, then you'll know that I got a load of stuff arriving yesterday, including this. You see that? Spacehunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, from 101 Films. This is the UK Blu-ray of that classic 1983 cult-ish sci-fi romp, starring Peter Strauss. Peter Strauss from Rich Man Poor Man, or most importantly for me, Soldier Blue, that controversial western of gore and splatter, and also quite weird comedy as well. I like Peter Strauss though, I think he's a good actor. Now this was directed by a guy called, I have forgotten his name, Johnson Lohman or something? Lamont Johnson. What else did he do? I think he did The Greatest American Hero TV show in the 70s, or something like that anyway. But not exactly the first thing that comes to mind when you think of sci-fi blockbusters, especially in 3D. Because yes, 82, 83 was the big advent, the second big cavalcade of 3D movies coming out since the 50s. And you'd had Amityville 3D, Jaws 3D, Friday the 13th Part 3 3D, and then this came along. Now the guy that filmed this, he thought, look, I'm not going to have things poking in your face all the time. And when you watch the film, there's a marked absence of that. In the other three films I mentioned, almost every scene has something poking out the camera at you, and you go, whoa, and you got your stupid glasses on and all this. But this film doesn't do that. And it was devised using a system, the guy who did it, whose name I have completely forgotten, worked on the initial 1950s cavalcade of 3D. And he refined it even further. And from what I remember, he used two Panavision cameras at right angles to each other, and then he used a beam splitter down the middle. So what happened was, when your eyes watched it, it's a long, laborious process to film. You've got a really good 3D image, but what he wanted to do was not poke things in your eye, but give a sense of depth. Like Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, which is, it's a great 3D experience. It is. It's not showboating. It puts you on that planet, Pandora, or whatever the hell it's called. I'm not a fan of the film, to be honest, but I do like the technology. And when 3D's done well, I do enjoy it. But this is all moot because this Blu-ray is not in 3D, and I've never seen the bloody film in 3D, so I don't know. But all reports are that it was actually quite a successful rendition of the format. But back to the film itself, quite clearly, you had, during this period, it had all the sort of Star Wars rip-offs and copies, all the Italian versions, all the cheapskate Roger Corman ones, Battle Beyond the Stars, which is awesome. And that's actually the Magnificent Seven, just in space. Peter Hyams with Outland, that would be coming up around about this time as well, if not a bit earlier. But this takes sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of style, and it's cowboys and Indians. It's not really even in space. Only the opening sequence is actually in space, where this big pleasure cruiser travelling through some vista of the cosmos. If you look out the starboard window, you'll see two black holes colliding, something like that. Next thing you know, kaboom, boom, boom, and this thing is gonna explode. So everyone has to evacuate in these little life pods, and off they go. Namely, three princesses, three gorgeous 80s babes with hair like that, have managed to cram themselves into these little escape pods, and they land on the nearest E-type planet. E for air. So they land there, and they're immediately assailed by scavs and wargs and weird desert-dwelling, denizens. Because yes, not only is this film inspired by Star Wars and its ilk, but also by the likes of Mad Max, and particularly Mad Max 2, which had come out a couple of years before. So deserts, nomadic gangs, salvaged, buggies built out of nothing, weird contraptions, mutants, It's all here. So this planet apparently was once a colony, a human type colony was seeded there and then kind of left to their own devices. A civil war broke out and then a plague hit, and now it's now run by Overdog. Overdog? Isn't that some kind of like a yoga move? You know, or that's down under dog, down under, oh, I don't know, doggy style. That's something else, isn't it? But and these women get captured by Overdog and his minions. Into the fray comes Wolf. That's Wolf with a double F, and that's Peter Strauss, who is your Han Solo type, your sort of renegade, maverick, bounty hunter type thing. You know, any mission that comes up has got some moolah, mega credits in this. Mega credits. Not just your average credit, these are mega credits. Why is it always credits, you know? In any spaceborne saga, you know, what's the currency? No matter what the galaxy, no matter where you are, no matter how many, you know, different systems you travel between, everyone uses credits. Always credits. And American Express. But so he's in debt. His shipboard computer reminds him at the start. He's just in his little jalopy, his space jalopy, and it's all done again Star Wars style, very lived-in quality. It's ramshackle. He's got to boot the keyboard, you know, the desk to get this computer to work. They've got to boot the door to get the hatch to open. You know, it's in dire need of an overhaul, and he's in debt. He's got parking tickets on. Parking tickets. He's a space fucking hunter. Why is he ever living on a planet? Why is he ever going to incur parking tickets on planet Cestus 9? You know, there's some wife in the background, ex-wife, I don't know, who wants money. He's that kind of guy. He's your lovable rogue. He will prove to have a heart of gold as well. But you kind of know that straight away. Peter Strauss has such a lovely demeanour about him. Yes, he's quite acrobatic and a lot of action in this movie. He does a lot of rolling around and climbing and jumping and shooting and punching, you know, all that kind of stuff, hanging upside down. He does all that and he quits himself pretty well. He's a good physical actor. But right away, and this is the clever thing about films like this, shot on an absolute budget, although the budget for this, because of the 3D, did sort of balloon out of all proportions, but and the location work. They filmed in Utah, they filmed in California, and they filmed in Vancouver as well. The interior sets were in Vancouver, and this massive warehouse, which was filled with all airplane parts, satellite parts, bits of submarines, bits of NASA spacecraft were in there, and they cobbled it all together to make this sort of steampunk vision of this, you know, bizarre mutant world, and all the little dwellings and, you know, citadels that have sprung up there. But you know straight away in this movie what the deal is. It's not to be taken seriously. There's monsters and bad guys, there's princesses, there's a tongue in the cheek, a twinkle in the eye, there's going to be some innuendo, but nothing too bawdy. And the action will be fast and plentiful, but it won't be too violent. You know, this is, the kids can watch this one, and your hero, despite his renegade credentials, you know, he's a lovable guy, and you know he's going to do the right thing, and he'll win the day. Of course, I'm giving nothing away. I'm not going to give all the spoilers to this one. I know I tend to do that, but by the way, I just found this the other day. Whoa, yeah, look at that. Griffin Dunn's ripped up face of American Werewolf, and there is the American Werewolf. Wolf juice, lovely. So yeah, Wolf, who is the hero of the show, he takes on, you know, this mission. I'm going to get these girls. I'll get them back. So he lands on the planet. He has initially an assistant called Chalmers, and Chalmers, I forget the girl's name who plays her. She's an android, but you don't know that at first. Although you pretty much learn that quite quickly. As at the keyboard, she's getting all the information he needs for the mission, and suddenly she goes like that, and he just goes, oh, and he gives a little Vulcan nerve pinch. She's back online, and my God, you know, she's gorgeous. She has legs to die for. Legs to die for. I had this film, as I said in a previous video, I had a VHS, almost a Betamax copy of this, pretty much from day one when it got released in the UK. I never saw it at the flicks, but I did get it day one on home video release. And I've still got it. It's upstairs. It's in one of the many, you know, annexes of Kilt Mansion. And it's in a great big glorious box. And I know, I loved it as a kid. I used to watch it a lot, and yet when I come to it this time, I really didn't remember much about it at all. I was surprised, and I'll be honest, a little bit underwhelmed. I can watch things these days with those rose-tinted glasses. You know, how many times am I going to watch that guy in Escape from New York and never pick fault with it? Adore it every time. My favourite film, that and The Thing. And I can watch those films over and over and over again. I can go and revisit Hammer movies or old Universal creaky, you know, monster mashes with no problem at all. But it's a thing about the 80s, early 80s movies, which you go back and watch them, which you really thought, oh, wow, these are awesome. And you've really got to suspend that disbelief a little bit more than you perhaps expect to. And this, you know, is one of those cases in point. Very enjoyable, funny, likeable. He meets Molly Ringwald on this planet, who is just this waif and stray, but she reckons I'm an earther too, an earther. This is the thing. The people on this planet have their own patois, their own lingo. They speak in a kind of twisted slang. And a quite clever thing about that is that although this film is definitely inspired by Mad Max 2, Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome, and the crazy lingo that the children out in the desert, the descendants of the people who crashed in a plane there, which Max will encounter and then lead to freedom and some kind of salvation, they speak in a sort of similar twisted, mangled, slang-filled vernacular. And it's almost like, did you copy that from Spacehunter? Because this was before that. Anyway, not only that, because she wants to tag along, and she's like, is she a little girl? Is she a teenager? Is she a woman? You're never quite sure, because she stinks, and she tries to steal his buggy. Because when they land on this planet, and the model work is quite good, the visual effects in space are diabolical. For this period, they're pretty poor. Visually, it's poor. Once you get on terra firma, I mean the planet is called Terra something, and the model work of ships coming into land in this desert place, they're pretty good. They're actually pretty good. It's still vintage stuff, but they work. And he has this massive dune buggy. I don't know what the hell this thing is or what it was. He says it's called the Scrambler, and he says that he created it himself. This is Wolf, and it's this like an off-road four-wheel, big massive Jeep thing, but with monster truck tyres on it, and it's kind of lopsided. It's a big square box, and he drives at the front, as you would, but there's a sort of gun portal up behind him and above and off to one side, so the whole thing's asymmetrical, and it's bombing round these deserts and all that, like, and over rocky ridges, going up, steep inclines like that, and he manages to brake and just observe a battle taking place somewhere else, and it's that's fucking amazing, this vehicle, and it's in it a lot. Like, you've also, so she ends up tagging along. Oh, I know where they've taken these women. They've gone to Graveyard City. That's where Overdog lives. In the Forbidden Zone. I'll lead you there. And of course, there's a very begrudged sort of sparky relationship between Wolf and Nikki, as it transpires. He's now lost his robot, his android companion, in an initial battle where he witnesses. Or rather, again, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, possibly inspired, a sort of sail train, which is on train tracks, and it's got these huge sails, and it's like a Spanish galleon crossed with a Wild West locomotive, but with sails on it as well, and it's traversing the desert on these train tracks, and there's all these armed people on it, and they've got the princesses. These are the ones who initially caught them when they crash landed on the planet in their life pods. But oh no, Overdog wants these women. He's got wind that someone has arrived. So these Sky Raiders come in, and these guys on bikes and other, dune buggy type assault vehicles, Mad Max, come in, lay siege. Wolf's watching this, and they extract these women via these gliders and take them off. And but in the maelstrom, which Wolf gets involved in, kills a few of these bad guys, gets his name known, gets a bit of information. Poor old Chalmers has been shot, and he has to destroy her. She's gone, and you could always keep her, just hang her up. She wasn't badly destroyed, just a little nick on the face, side of the face. You could hang her up, She was, and then mate for androids, mate. The Nostromo got Ash, the Sulaco got Bishop. This guy, He knew what he was doing when he got Chalmers. So now he's with Nikki. These two have a sparky relationship, of course. It's that kind of thing where, you know, they're going to grudgingly come to respect each other. She stinks to hell. So he'll throw her into some pond, and out of somewhere he whips up some shampoo. Gives her a good scrub down and all that, like, and then, yes, there's a young woman underneath there, all the grime and the grit. They carry on. They also encounter Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson, of course, from Ghostbusters. And this, by the way, is Ivan Reitman, who did Ghostbusters and Stripes and Animal House and all that sort of stuff. He produced this movie. He also worked with composer Elmer Bernstein, whose score you can probably hear rattling around behind you. He did the score for a lot of Ivan Reitman movies, and so there was a bond there, and Ernie Hudson was part of that bond as well. Him and Wolf, you know straight away that these two, despite the fact that they scrap when they first meet each other, they've got a backstory, but the two of them are good buddies. So their paths will cross a couple of times, and in the end, they're gonna have to join together with Nikki and invade Graveyard City, which is that massive set I described in Vancouver, which is wonderful, wonderful. And Lord Overdog rules this. Michael Ironside, the great Michael Ironside, one of the best, most intimidating character actors. Total Recall, Richter, you know, in Total Recall. Scanners, my God, you know. Extreme Prejudice, V, The Machinist, lots and lots of movies. Starship Troopers, and Visiting Hours. He plays an excellent villain in that. And he is this sort of albino, baldy cyborg creature. He's more machine than human, and he has a chemist who works for him, and they want the life essences from these women. That's what he wants. They've got to be fit young specimens. Well, fucking hell, did he look out when they landed on his planet? You know, Jesus. That's what he wants anyway. And he's like, do you remember Dr. Chenard in Hellbound, Hellraiser 2? When he becomes Kenneth Branagh, when he becomes cenobitized, and he has that huge tentacle on the back of his head, and it carries him around basically. Well, Overdog is strapped to some weird, massive crane type thing. How the fuck this thing navigates down these steampunk corridors full of pipes and tubes and metal struts and cages. It's fucking huge, and he's hanging about 30 foot up in the air, snarling and doing it with his great big robot arms. Now, I love Michael Ironside, and I couldn't wait to see him again in this, because I had these memories of him being really cool. No, he's the one big detraction from it, because his lines are diabolical, terrible. There aren't even that many of them, and he's just hanging there with these stupid arms, and it's just Michael Ironside's face, basically, strapped into this contraption, and I can't stop the arms, but then again, nor can he. Great big Dr. Octopus metal arms they are. And it's just, he leches and he leers. He wants these women stripped off in front of him. We don't see much, so he can say, "Oh yes, yeah, they'll do." You know? But he doesn't do much beyond that. And he's also, what kind of threat is he really? Yeah, you've got these big metal tentacle arms with big pincers on him. But if I go outside, can your contraption tractor thing follow me? Where are the doors big enough to allow him to move around? It doesn't work. Tom Behrman did the effects for this, the actual makeup effects. Tom Behrman was an excellent makeup designer. Did a lot of gore effects, a lot of prosthetic stuff. He did Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1978 Philip Kaufman remake, which is awesome. Great splattery effects in that. Oh, great stuff. The remake of Cat People, the one with Natasha Kinski, Malcolm McDowell. Again, there's some good gore in that as well. And he did lots of other movies, and a lot of movies after this. But don't go expecting gore effects in this. There aren't any. When Paul Wolf has to destroy Chalmers because she's out of action now, and he just presses the beeper and she melts away. So you've got that. But beyond that, I think a guy falls on spikes. There's not much else. There's some prosthetic body suits. There is a sequence where Wolf and Nikki end up in this. They stop off en route to Graveyard City. Excuse me. They make a lot of little stop-offs at these different weird places to crop about the desert. In the distance, they're a matte painting, but up close, it's just some bits of metal and a door leading into something bizarre once you get inside there. some more steampunk stuff. And they end up in this sort of, apartment complex, and they're sleeping there, and all of a sudden they hear noises. And what it is, I don't know how they didn't notice all these huge cocoons that are hanging down from the ceiling. But inside, at first I didn't remember it. I thought, oh my god, they're spiders. It's going to be spiders. Maybe it was that bad. I've blotted it from my mind. No, what tumbles out of these cocoons are fat boys, great big blubbery fat people. Again, albinos with big blubbery jowls and ripples of fat, and they're nude as well. It's just bodysuits, and there's hundreds of them, and they've got to fight these things, and in the end, they dive down these chutes to try and get back into the scrambler and get away. But these fat bastards come down the chutes as well. It's bizarre. They will also, in another scrap heap challenge of a set, they will encounter these Amazonian women. This is a stupid sequence, I've got to be honest, because they come back, they're walking through sludge of water, and it's all machinery and disused rubbish, salvage gear everywhere, and but these women just come out the water, and they're armed, and they've got spears and some kind of metal shields, all extremely attractive. And they say, they threaten Wolf, do you think you could satisfy us? Oh, no, I think we'd kill him. And he said, I'll take that chance, as you would. And then this thing that they must be living there with, this sort of slimy snake eel type monster, just comes out, quite a good effect, comes out of nowhere. And all these brick hard Amazonians go, ah! And run away. They fucking live there. They must have encountered this and its kind a lot. Why the hell are they screaming and running off? Not so hard, are you? So of course, Wolf kills this thing, and off they go on their travels again. So it all culminates in this graveyard city thing, and Overdog, besides just waiting for women whose life essence and body parts he can harvest, he presides over these games to entertain all his scrappy fucking weird denizens, all these other mutants. Well, they don't even know, they're just people, just dressed in rags, desert nomads. And in this kind of maze, there's not much of a maze to it. It's kind of like Ninja Challenge or something, and someone will be thrown in there. Trucks with spikes on will chase them down little aisles. Then they've got to navigate over a pit of acid on this revolving fucking thing. They've got to climb. It's don't go thinking it's exciting, because it really isn't. And Nikki, Molly Ringwald, will have to run the gauntlet of this. And of course, Wolf will save the day. She'll get caught again, and Overdog will realise that, hang on, the princesses were crap, this girl's got gumption. I need her life essence. So she gets put into this kind of thing, this Doctor Who style gyroscope thing, and she's writhing around, and there's coloured lights. What's it do? Is it an MRI scan? I remember when I had my MRI scan, I was fucking writhing around in fucking agony as well. Make it stop! Make it stop! But Wolf will save the day. There'll be a rather crap battle with Overdog, who manages to come off his contraption, although he's completely useless without it anyway, so he's easily finished off. He's just no threat whatsoever. And everyone lives happily. The princesses are returned, and mega credits are bestowed upon our heroes. And Molly Ringwald, poor Nikki, sees everyone rejoicing, and they haven't taken off yet. They're about to, and she gets her little knapsack on, and she's about to walk away. Peter Strauss comes over. Where do you think you're going? Well, you don't need me now, do you? You said you didn't want any baggage. Now, this is not romance. It's not a fledgling romance that's been taking place. It's actually quite poignant. This roguish guy who doesn't need anyone, his only companion, he's got a wife somewhere, but he's clearly fucked off and left there behind. Doesn't want responsibility. His only companion so far has been a fucking android, which he can turn that off whenever he wants. But he's grown to respect this girl, and he says, no, you can come along with me. You mean that? Yeah, I mean that. And you do believe it as well. It's a little bit of earnest sincerity in a what's borderline spoof, and it works. And she leaps into his arms, and it's the big rousing main theme from Elmer Bernstein creeps back in, and everyone's happy. Everything's right with the cosmos again. But it's good. It is dated. It is. and there's not a great deal to it, but it's immensely likeable at the same time. I just think that the battle at the end really doesn't deliver the goods. You can tell at the time that they thought they were providing lots of action, and there's lots of shooting, lots of bodies tumbling over scaffolds and things, like lots of leaping around and climbing and running. Yeah, it seems to do all the right things, but it's also something a bit lacking there. The design work is good, the contraptions, that sail barge thing is great. Ernie Hudson drives this great big truck with a huge, one of them big sort of snow plough things on the front, which could just plough through other vehicles. There's some imagination there. There's a whole tribe of bizarre mutant children, some of whom seem to have fire emanating from them, who line a canyon, like the Indians in the old Western movies, and then lob sort of explosive devices at our heroes who have to bug out of there. So lots of weirdness in there as well. But back to Peter Strauss. Something, well, obviously I've not seen him in anything since this movie, and I've not seen this movie, well, I saw it last night, but since back in the 80s, and unbelievable, he is such, or rather, Hugh Jackman is a dead ringer for Peter Strauss as he looks in this, an absolute dead ringer. The voice, mannerisms, it's like you're watching Hugh Jackman in the role. Now, that's not distracting, it's actually, it only endears him to you all the more, because I love Hugh Jackman. Who doesn't? And but it's weird, this came before. Did Hugh Jackman model his entire career on this guy? I don't know. The fact that it's not in 3D on Blue, that process I was saying before, that refined process, the two Panavision cameras, the beam splitter, one's horizontal, one's vertical, the way they do this, also means that the guy who created it, so like, because not everyone's going to see it in 3D, it also makes a perfect flat movie as well, and it does. So a lot of films like Friday the 13th Part 3 and Amityville 3, nowadays on Blue they look fine even in flat, and you can get them in 3D now anyway, and they look great in that as well. But up until the more recent Blu-ray releases, they've looked at a terrible shambles on home video. The colours, everything's blurred, it looks a mess. It's that old, crappy, style. But this looks, the quality on this Blu-ray is not good. But then again, the film is not that good looking anyway. Everything is orange, everything is painted orange. You crave for some interiors and nighttime shots to get a bit of contrast coming in. Everything is just burnt out ochre, orange, amber, and dusty. The film is gritty and grainy as hell. I don't mind that. It's got that rustic appeal to it. But it plays perfectly as a flat movie, completely 2D. There's only a couple of shots where something quite clearly is pointing at the camera, like a tranquilizer gun sort of thing comes out and the camera lingers a little bit too long on it. And of course the opening titles, you see like the Hulk, the rusting Hulk of some kind of space freighter, and suddenly it goes, you focus in on this panel and it goes, bursts out at you, and the words Spacehunter come out, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, right out like that. And obviously in 2D you're thinking, that was meant to be in 3D, wasn't it? You can't fool me. And then the space shots, you've got like star fields flying past you. But by and large, you don't even think about it being 3D. So you're not missing out at all. So, Spacehunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. It doesn't get 2 thumbs up, it gets 1. It is enjoyable. It does exactly what it sets out to do. But you've got a huge wasted opportunity in having Michael Ironside as Overdog, because he's not threatening, he's more comical. There's no intimidation there. There's some good, sometimes when he goes, and he's got a steel plate in his head as well. And he reminds me, I've been discussing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 a lot in a lot of previous videos, and I will be again for obvious reasons, because I've got the mask of Chop Top, character Chop Top, who, once his wig comes off, he's bald apart from a few strands of hair, and has a great big steel plate in the side of his head. He looks unnervingly like Overdog in this, and this came before Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Did Spacehunter actually somehow conspire to, inspire Toby Hooper for Texas Chainsaw 2, and George Miller for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome? With that weird lingo and that train across the desert? I don't know. It's easy to draw little parallels between movies and like, oh, they ripped that off from there. We all do that. But basically, I don't know. But it is weird. I mean, did Hugh Jackman rip off Peter Strauss as well? It's possible. It's possible. So, folks, there you go. There's a little rundown. Actually, it's quite a big rundown. And I said I wouldn't spoil it, and I did kind of give the ending away. Hey, you know me. But it's worth watching. It's cheap on Blue. Pick it up. You know, I certainly wouldn't say, oh, don't bother with it. No, it's definitely enjoyable. So, folks, I'll be back very shortly with more stuff. Alien stuff, perhaps. Somebody was asking about that. Alien stuff coming up. Anyway, in the meantime and in between time, stay safe, enjoy the sun, be happy. Laters. Spacehunter inspired all of Hollywood. Who'd have thought? I haven't pressed that button again.